And welcome to another edition of Cruising with the Coaches, conversation with Julie and Lee. Julie, hello. How are you? How you feeling?
Good. How are you?
Tired, bored, good, but no, it's all good, all good. Um, got a question for you, of course, because
Okay.
we got to start with questions kind of related to the topic that we're doing for today's show. But have you heard of a saying called reasons, seasons, or lifetime? Have you heard of that
Yes.
saying? You've heard of that.
Yes. Oh, of
And
course.
okay, yeah, hold that thought, right? Of course.
Yeah.
Like, can you remember a time when you didn't really know that saying, right? You've heard it for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Me too.
I feel like I have. I don't know why, but yeah.
I was thinking it was common knowledge, right? That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
what I thought it was. So, um, no need to wait any longer, but okay, today's topic is reason, season, or lifetime. And what we're kind of talking about is, well, no, we'll just get into it. All right. So let's dive in. This is an article from Montecitojournal.com, article written by Deanne Zampelli. And this is her talking about her experience. So she had an email exchange with a man who was interested in renting their vacation home for a stay with his grown sons. His wife had just died the week before, and uh, and she loved the beach, so he felt it would be a way to honor her. And what's her name? Deanne offered words of comfort, and for her work, she often writes about these things, grief and such things like that. So as the days unfolded, she said shards of grief would surface, and then the guy said her memorial is tomorrow. Is it wrong that I just want it to be over with? So as Deanne says, this began a series of exchanges, and they discussed loss and bereavement, other things like that. She let him know that his feelings were completely natural, and that the memorial, or a memorial in any form, is just to remember a person. Is not just to remember a person, but is to commemorate a moment in time. Um, so after the last email, she began to wonder what the odds were that a complete stranger would book a vacation at their home for at the home of someone who has a background in grief counseling and psychology. And why were she and this man connected at this exact moment in time? So as we come back out on camera, that's where the question came from, right? Reason, season, or lifetime.
Hmm.
Um, Anything you just, you noticed or you wanna add to that before we actually go on?
I mean, I actually have a very similar exchange. I recall when the father of my children was in the hospital. So he
Mhm,
was in Cleveland Clinic, actively passing.
mhm,
And when, I got the call and I'm going to the hospital, I'm parking the car. And in my frantic of not knowing what the heck is happening, blah, 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 blah,
mhm, mhm.
I hit the car in the parking lot. Like I scraped it, Yeah, of
Right,
course. So, yeah.
right,
So
and well, of all times, right, you're
yeah,
like,
like
yeah, yeah,
I'm not there, so I scraped it enough to where I left a note and I left my phone number and it was just like, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Please
sure,
call me. I am in the hospital and blah 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 blah, whatever."
right, right,
So, like, I didn't hear from the person, like for
yeah,
days. Like I'm
yeah,
thinking, I'm like I am. Oh, I felt bad. I felt horrible, and the car
or you're waiting to get arrested because they called the cops,
yeah,
right?
'cause they called the cops or whatever. So days go by, and then I think it was finally like a week later,
Mhm,
um, he calls and he says, "Hey, I'm the car that you hit in the parking lot." And he's just like, "I just want to assume that you were probably there for just as bad of a reason as I was there, and I just want you to know that don't worry about my car. You worry about the purpose as to why you were there and blah 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 blah. Yeah. So long story short, his name was Harold, and I
Mhm.
mean, I doubt he listens or whatever, but like shout out to Harold because we will still periodically send a like a text here or there,
Like
like,
a, "Hey, how you doing?" Or,
"Hey, how
"Yeah,
are you
things
doing?"
good?" Or yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because his
Yeah.
person ended up passing as well. But it's kind of like, hey, just checking in, want to make sure. So here's this complete stranger I've never laid eyes on. But again, there was a reason for that. You know what I mean? And it's
Absolutely.
just like so bizarro that it was like,
Well,
um,
it's
I
also in this.
I hit your car and I feel like I owe you hundreds of dollars to fix it, but you want to reach out and say, "Hey, just want to make
Right.
sure you're okay." You know, and I'm just like, how beautiful of a person are
D d
you to say,
to s Exactly, and not be like, "Yeah, I took it to the shop,
right,
and here's the
dumbass,
bill
you
for
owe me.
5,000."
Exactly, exactly. So obviously
Yeah.
there was a reason for that. And I mean, I still feel bad that I did what I did to his vehicle, but I mean, talk about a reason. Like I said, we
Totally.
still exchange a text here or there, like especially around the holidays, hey, just checking in, want to make sure
Absolutely.
you're okay, kind of a
Yep.
thing. But yeah, like
Well,
talk
it's in
about a
that
reason.
same it's in that shared, as in the article's talking about the grief, right? And that kinda
Right.
thing. I think that's a shared experience that we all have, but
Right.
how do you deal with it, right?
Exactly.
So, like you said, beautiful person, Harold, by the way,
Yes.
and yes,
Yes.
shout out to Harold,
Big shout
but
out. Yes.
but, you know, I could have used his own grief and been
Correct.
like, "Oh, here we go, someone down hit my car," right? Anything.
Outraged and just he
Mhm.
could have had a complete different response, but he was
Totally.
so kind
Yeah.
and, reached out and was just a very beautiful person. And so, like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, wow." Like, there's
But
still beauty in the world with a person who
even
can just be
even in
empathetic.
the even in the midst of, you guys losing people, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like that.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
definitely a reason for sure.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not
That's
weird, not
awesome.
weird.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Well, then that definitely ties into what we're talking about, right? Because, Deanne then talks to, her friends. So she went to dinner with one of her friends and her friend's daughter in Barcelona, and they're, having fun and eating and drinking and all this stuff, and Deanne, sorry, brings up this question and tells the friend, and the friend said one line, "Reason, season, lifetime."
Mhm.
And so then, she asked her friend if she could mention her and her daughter in this article, and then, the friend texted back, "Which one am I?" And she said immediately, I didn't even have to think before I answered, "Duh, you're all 3." Right? Um, and so she starts talking about her friendship, and she'd known this friend since elementary school. They'd been mutual friends, and now they're in the wellness community. They never run out of things to talk about, and there's so much to learn from each other. But they're not the type of friends, as Deanne puts, yet that make plans one on one. Um, and so she says again, she feels that there's many reasons that they need to know one another. They've been through many seasons together where they're raising children or disasters or different losses in their community, um, friends moving away, etc. They they continue to cycle through this process throughout the lifetime. So then Deanne says, as she's an avid researcher, she wanted to find the origin of this expression. So she said, while it seems a bit murky, most agree that it stems from a poem from Brian A. Quote Drew unquote Chalker, in which he wrote, "People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime." She felt that was a bit anticlimactic, but there it is. So as we come back out on camera, Um, y y y anything you'd like to share, now that we know kind of Deanne's reasoning behind it, right? Like, I was kinda shocked, by the way, before you go, that she hadn't heard of it before. Like, from, I'm an adult, right? And this is why I asked you that in the beginning of the show. I don't I can't recall a time where I've not heard some version of that, right? Like, people are in your life for a reason, season, or lifetime. And as she was an adult at dinner with her friend trying to make sense of, this guy renting the summer home or the vacation home, whatever it was, and her friend was like, "Yeah, reason, season, lifetime." She's like, "Huh?" Like, I'd never heard that. So I just found that a bit odd, like, never heard that before. Okay. Alright. But, and yes, your thoughts, please.
Well, I think I guess I had the luxury of learning it early because I feel like I learned it from, like, a junior high, and
Mhm.
I feel like it was from a guidance counselor, honestly, and I think I was having an issue with, just adolescence and it being an
Teenage. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and it
Yeah.
being an explanation of people coming into your life, out of your life, and that's just kinda how, the flow of life kind of goes.
Yeah.
And so it was just kinda like, "Oh." And then, like, as you are going through things, you realize, like, "Oh, that
Mhm.
that makes sense." Like, "Okay," and then you realize, yeah, there are people who are in your life for a period of time, and then there are people who just kinda float in and float out, and don't stay. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like,
Mhm.
they're kinda there, they serve their purpose, and then they just kinda breeze out, and
Indeed.
whether you see them again or not, it's not really a big deal. Like, they're kind of
Mhm.
acquaintances like that. So,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think there's some distinctions, right? I think, if you meet a stranger, whatever, maybe they become an acquaintance, right?
correct.
So, an acquaintance could be, and I guess, we're kinda breaking it down because I did talk to our research team, and yes, our research team is Google, by the way. It's not like we have a whole
So we have a department of our niece or
but after seeing, this article and after reading what Deanne was saying, I dug a little bit deeper to see, okay, is that, the origin of this saying, right? But before we get to that, I agree, like, acquaintances can be for a reason, right? A reason or a season. I think if someone's in your life for a lifetime, I don't think they're an acquaintance anymore, you know?
Oh,
Um,
no, yeah. Those are the
it
people who you end up having the conversations where you're like, "Okay, I know this is too much information, but" you're like, let me tell you about this, and let me tell
well,
you about that," and then you're kinda like and then you
right.
don't even feel bad about it because 'cause you're like,
Because
"Man,
this is what we do, right?
this is what we
Or
do."
or it's the type of friendship that, and I hate, this is a terrible example, but let's say you have to bury a body, and
You're right. You know who you're calling.
you're not calling an acquaintance, right?
No.
Like, the friend is gonna say, "Okay, I got shovels," or, "Where do you wanna go?" Right? Like, I mean, that's the lifetime friend,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's not a reason or a season, so,
I just
uh
thought it was interesting, though, when she said that the one friend was all 3, but
yeah.
not someone who she would have one-on-ones with.
So how do you get to be all
That
3
that
if
was interesting.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was very interesting to me.
Well, I to her credit, she did say not yet, but
I
if,
mean, but how
but
old are you? What you waiting for?
well, she'd never heard of this either, right? Remember, never heard reason, season, or lifetime. So, but yeah, you're right. Like, how are you clearly all 3? Like, she didn't hesitate, she said.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
hesitate. So how are
yeah.
you clearly all 3, but she's not the type of friend you make one-on-one plans with?
Yeah, I'm thinking if you hit lifetime status, we've spent some one-on-one, like,
At
uh,
at some point, or
at some point.
like, I'm going to schedule one-to-one time, like
Exactly.
yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
let's go back to the slides here, so, um oh, sorry, I didn't want to jump ahead. So let me come back out on camera because that's where our research team comes in, right?
Okay.
So I did some research, but before we get into that, we'll take a break because then um, I will share what our research team found.
Okay.
And and again, yes, research team is Google. So there's that. Like there's wait, people are gonna watch the show like, oh wow,
We have a
they
whole
got a
team.
research team. No, no, just
Yeah.
us. But stay tuned and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the latest episode of Cruising with the Coaches, conversation with Julie and Lee. We are talking about a phrase, and I hope y'all have heard it: reason, season, or lifetime. And in the first segment, we talked about an article from and she was what's her name?
Deanne.
Deanne,
Deanne.
yes, Deanne Tempelli wrote an article, and she was trying to figure out how she and a complete stranger kind of got connected. He rented her house. His wife had just passed, that kind of thing. So that's where her friend introduced the phrase "reason, season, or lifetime." And also, I mentioned that our crack research team, that people say that all the time about a research team, but so I did a little digging, and the person who is credited most with this phrase, Brian A. Drew uh, Archer or something like that. I will include the link in the show notes. But here's what he said in a piece that he wrote. So this one is the reason. So when someone comes into your life to meet a need you expressed, they come to assist you through a difficulty, provide guidance and support, or aid you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. He also then talked about the people for a season. It becomes your turn to learn, share, and grow. They may bring you an experience of peace or make you laugh. They may teach you something you've never done. They usually give you an unbelievable amount of joy. And then we've got the people who are in your life for a life, the people who are in your life for a lifetime. These teach you a lifetime of lessons, things you build upon to have a solid emotional foundation. You have to accept the lesson, love the person or people anyway, and put what you've learned to use in all other relationships and areas of your life. and then he has this phrase that, or the an often said phrase, "Love is blind, and friendship is clairvoyant." So as we come back out on camera, I think that's kind of what we were talking about when we were saying our own definitions, you
Mhm.
know? Um, but I did find it interesting that, well, and again, I will, you talk about, you put a thought out into the universe and the universe will meet you where you are, right? So I think that first, the reason, that's kind of what Brian was talking about in his poem, where you've expressed a need, and as he said it in more detail, inwardly or outwardly, right?
Right.
Although I'm not sure there's another way to express a need, but okay. But, um, I think I would say, I would interpret it this way: it doesn't necessarily have to be expressed to someone, right?
Right.
Like, you are feeling a certain way, there's something you need, and this is why I say then the universe meets you where you are. So you've expressed this, "Man, I just wish I had X." And
Right.
before you know it, someone comes into your life, or it's not like movies, right, where they just walk through the door, but
Right. It's not
someone
Hallmark.
comes in, or it might be, you never know, right?
Right. Right.
But something happens, there's a situation, and then you realize, "Huh, that's just what I needed." You know what I mean? So, I can actually think of a recent experience where I had a group of students at my job, and they're from Ohio University, where I went to school, and, there was a non-traditional student with the group, okay? Now I noticed her right away because when, the director of the program brought them to the office, they're all standing in a group at the door except for one, right? So she was the non-traditional student. Um, so again, as I'm kind of talking and presenting to them about, the industry of broadcasting, that kind of thing, I told them 3 different things, and one of the things that I shared was, "You need a mentor." And right away, the non-traditional student was like, "Can you be my mentor?" And I was like, "Absolutely." Right? But
Mhm.
that like, a reason, season, or lifetime. So, she was part of this program for a reason, and, okay, I will mentor her for a season.
Right. Right.
Now we'll see the lifetime part, I don't know, but that I don't know if you mentor somebody for a lifetime, but, it's very similar, right? It and literally, because I know I said it's not Hallmark and they don't walk through the door, but literally they walked through the office doors and all that, but it was, I noticed the difference right away, right? Not just, okay, she didn't look like she was in her early or late 20s, which is also true, and I'm not saying she was old, but she was just standing apart, right?
Right.
And I
Right.
found it odd because if they're one cohort, if they're all together and the director's, like, right in front of the group, is she just a random person who's trying to get in the building? Or is she part of the group? Or
Right.
do they have someone else with the group that I didn't know about? That kinda, so it was these things that I noticed, you know? So,
Yeah.
um, but anything you'd like to add about the way that, Brian, broke that down in his poem about the
No, I
reason,
mean, it
season?
makes sense. Yeah, because like and then the piece with the season, it can also be where you might have a person who's going through the same thing that you're going through at the
Mhm.
same particular time, you know what I mean? And so it just
Absolutely,
you are
absolutely.
just simultaneously going through something, and
Yeah,
then, like, as you both go through it, you might not even talk about it ever again, you know what I mean? So it's just
r
something that you're going through, you're
right, right.
experiencing it, you're helping each other through it, and then poof, it's never talked
It
about again,
and and
So
and both of you have lived in order to move to grow from it and move forward
exactly,
from that thing, whatever that is. I found
exactly.
it interesting with the lifetime. I think people assume that lifetime friends are always positive,
Okay,
and I won't say that's not positive, but I think the key was you accept them for who they are, flaws and
okay,
all. right?
Okay.
And so if there's and I can think of a few friends that I have who are lifetime, but not necessarily inner circle,
Okay.
but lifetime friends, right? So the lesson that I've learned from them is, okay, um, I can't take on everyone's issues, right? Like,
Right.
so, some of these lifetime friends will call and we catch up and sounds like the same thing over and over. Okay, cool. So glad you're doing okay. I'll talk to you soon. Right? That kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm not going to ever turn my back on them. Right? But the lesson that I'm taking is, oh, okay. Well, you've got your own cross to bear. You got to carry that. I can't carry
Yeah.
that for you,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Well,
So, yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no, no. I was
Well,
done with that story without too many details.
yeah, it's like it's kind of hard because as you're saying that, I'm thinking like, okay, so like I have a group of male friends, which will be hard for me to not expose them, but I know they wouldn't really care because they know I love them.
Right,
But like
right,
even as they're speaking, I'm sitting there and just like as you're saying, like they're
right.
talking about their other relationships and their other friendships and what have you. And I'm
Sure, sure.
listening and I'm thinking, hmm, like, and you don't say anything? Like, what?
Right. You
Like, uh,
you're saying something to each other, but not
like,
or
and then I'm realizing, well, it's a lifetime friend. But like to me, if I have a lifetime friend,
right.
why wouldn't you say something? And but I'm like looking at, well, didn't you say like why wouldn't you say anything? Like and they're just looking at me like, well, why would I? Well, he didn't say anything, so why should I say
So why
something? Like
would I? Right, I'm not gonna bring
I
it
don't
up.
know if
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
guy
yeah, yeah.
code. Like
There there
if
is some truth to that. There is.
yeah, is that guy code? Like, well, he didn't say anything, so I didn't say anything. And I'm like, but you
Yeah,
guys like what? Like,
yeah.
okay.
That is part of a guy code, for sure.
I'm like,
If the other guy doesn't bring it and the other dude, I promise you, could be struggling like no tomorrow. I promise you. But if they don't say it, but then they don't have to say I'm struggling, right? But
yeah,
if they don't open the door for it, you can't say anything
right.
because it's like I I gotta let you open the door first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a code.
Yeah. And so like me being the girl, I'm like, I've listened to us long enough where like we are talking about, oh, we should do this. Oh, we should do this, and we should do
Right,
this. And we're
right,
literally talking about we should do this for like a minute. When I say a minute, I mean like a year or two. Like we should be doing this. So like I'm
right.
finally like, okay, guys, let's throw out some dates and let's actually do it. And then the response is, well, maybe you should plan it. And I'm thinking to myself, is that not what I'm
No.
doing by saying, no, I don't have a problem with it. But is that not what I'm saying by saying, throw me some dates? Like,
Right,
like,
right.
so,
That
like I just
that's me
laughed.
planning. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, guys. I'm like, I love you guys so much.
And that's the thing, right? You love them, flaws and all. That's what I took from Lifetime. Like, it's
Yeah.
flaws and all, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I think, again, people misinterpret a lifetime friend has to be the everything or the always I don't know, right? I just found that actually kinda cool that, okay, lifetime friend, love them
Right.
as they are,
Yeah.
and whatever you've learned, you apply that to everything
Right.
else.
Right. Because what you've learned is when to hold your tongue because you know what you want to say. And you just sit there and go, I'm just going to, I'm going to hold on to that one. Okay.
Uh, I
Okay.
I I feel attacked, but true.
But no, you just learn to hold your tongue. You just go, okay.
Yeah, because 'cause you're like, I've said that before, and it
Uh,
didn't really work.
exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So, okay. I'm going to love you over
Oh.
here. Okay. So,
That's why I will never turn my back on some of these lifetime friends, but
oh,
it's and so we're not also weird like Deanne with not the one-to-one time with her
yeah.
lifetime friend. I
Yeah.
will still have one-to-one time with him, but it's a bit different.
Right.
Um, but we've got a few more slides to close out the article here. Um, so Deanne then mentions that this is a powerful gift. And while some of us have the good fortune to be friends with our romantic partners and or children, it is something quite profound to receive that kind of love and loyalty from someone who isn't legally or ethically required to give it. Let's just ponder on that for a minute. I was like, wow, that's that's something, right? So
Right.
if it's not your marriage or if it's not your kids, it and that's so true. It's some that means someone is choosing to be
Choosing you. Facts.
your lifetime friend, you
Facts.
know?
Facts.
So, yeah, just let that land for a minute.
Or in the fact that, I know I have a handful of people who I
Mhm.
know would trust me with their absolute. Like they would just, hey, I need you to watch my kid. I need you to do this. I need like, hey,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
I would be there 1,000%, without even thinking about
Any
it.
any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just
Yeah.
like, and I know that they would do the same for me, like, period.
Yep.
So, like,
Yep.
and it's such a beautiful thing to have that in your life. So I get it.
100%.
Yeah.
I think I got one more slide here that, oh, yeah, so then Deanne says, "As it turns out, having close friendships is also beneficial to our health. According to the American Psychological Association, people who have close friends are also less likely to die from all causes, including heart disease and a wide range of chronic illnesses." So there you have it. Friendships are a powerful thing. Hold on to the ones you have, embrace the ones yet to come, and regardless of the reason, season, or the lifetime. That is, I'm still going back to the whole about the friends. It again, you if you're lucky enough for it to be a romantic partner or your children,
Mhm.
but when it's not, you know, that is a huge commitment that someone is choosing to make over and over and over again. And it made
Right.
me think, yeah, and it made me think about, the, the commitment I make to friends, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I would like to think that I'm a lifetime friend to everybody. But you can't be. You
But you
can't be
can't be.
also.
No. I mean, and the reality is, I'd like to think I am a good friend to a lot of people, but
Mhm.
I know capacity-wise, I am not the same friend to everybody. I just can't.
Ooh.
I can't be. Like that's not even
Hey, what
realistic.
did kids do? This, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, realistically, I know I can't
Yeah,
give the same. It's just impossible. But like, if there's,
yeah.
if you call me and I can, I will. But there are people who, if even if I can't, I'm gonna figure it out. So
Well, you've kinda said this before, you said it just now with capacity, but you said it kind of about your kids, right? You love all your kids, but you
correct.
don't love them the same because they're not the same.
No.
So I think that's profound in yes, we think we're good friends to the people we're friends to, but we're not the same friend. You can't be the same because everyone's different, right?
Right. Right.
And you might be different to somebody at different times. So, um,
Well,
and I think
I love them the same, just to correct you. I
absolutely,
love them the same.
absolutely, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
always like them the same. That's that's what's different.
The children or the friends? Don't answer that,
No,
don't
my
answer
kids,
that.
my kids. I
Oh,
love them
man.
the same. I always love them the same. And they know that. They know that.
Oh. The one thing I wanna, leave our audience with too is I think, you talk about a foundation. We talked about that in this show with the emotional foundation, stuff like that. I think that's what friendship does. It
Correct.
allows you think about a house, and you think about these load-bearing walls, right, that hold the 2nd floor, 3rd floor if you have more than 1 story, right, that kinda thing. Um, but that's what friendship does, right? Everybody a lot of times gets stuck with, "I gotta do this by myself," or, "I gotta carry this burden alone."
Right.
Friendship allows you to share some of that load, and that's a choice that that friend is making with you as well, right?
Mm,
So,
mm,
I don't know, I think that's a beautiful thing to not have to do life alone, you
right.
know?
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Cruising with the Coaches, and maybe it's time for you to think about your reason, season, or lifetime. While you're doing that, you could find us on Spotify. Go to the Live All Good podcast, search Cruising with the Coaches. Excuse me. If you don't like Spotify, that's fine. You can find us on YouTube. That's the homepage right there. And for those of you who like the Book of Face, well, we got a page there too. So, um, any last thoughts, Julie, before we go?
No, no, actually, I don't.
Lee
I
and
got
Julie.
that.
Lee and Julie signing out.